Welcome to the podcast that is all about the world of direct response. Are we on the air? I'm your host, Sean Wilson. For over 30 years, I've hosted shows on cable shopping networks, and now I want to be your guide into this world as we look at the ever-changing nature of these industries. This is the show that was supposed to be about QVC and their year-end results. Well, actually, this show should have happened about a month ago. But as you may or may not be aware, QVC has still yet to release their year-end results for fiscal year 2025. I'm going to get to that in a moment, though, because there is something else that has or is happening that I think is far more important than this, for some personal reasons, but also for the whole industry. Man, I honestly, this is one of those moments where I get at a loss for words, which doesn't happen often because I never thought I would be sharing and reading what I'm about to read. I guess I'm just going to read this, and I'm going to try and hold it together as best I can. Because on March 27th, JTV Jewelry Television posted something to their Facebook that was then reposted by my good friend, Kendi Klepfer, and I'm just going to read it. And here's what it says. To our JTV family. Over the past several weeks, many of you have reached out asking about Kendi Klepfer, TV host. Your concern for her is a testament to the genuine connection she built with each of you, and it means the world to us and to her. Today, we want to give you an honest and heartfelt answer. Kendi has been diagnosed with brain cancer. She has shared her diagnosis openly and with characteristic courage, because that is simply who Kendi is. Someone who lives her life with authenticity and trust. There is not a treatment path that will change the course of her illness. And Kendi has made the deeply personal and beautiful choice to focus her energy on living, on her family, her friends, and the moments that matter most to her. As a result, Kendi will not be returning to broadcast at JTV. Writing these words is not easy. Kendi is loved by her JTV family. On behalf of everyone at JTV, we are keeping Kendi and her family in our thoughts and prayers. We ask you to do the same. And I echo those thoughts personally. Please, if you're a person of faith, pray for Kendi and her family. I still believe a miracle can happen. I'm going to try not to talk in the past tense because I do believe, especially with her strength, that anything can happen. I posted on my personal Facebook after reading this. You know, when you leave a job, any job, I don't care what you do for a living, you realize that over the course of that time there, you developed friends, in air quotes, and friends, no air quotes, with a capital letter F. And Kendi fell into the latter of that group. We never lost touch after I left ShopNBC in 2012. And I can't say that about most people. So it just shows what a genuine friend she is to me and how much I adore this woman. To give you an idea what an amazing woman she is, I'm going to tell you a quick story. I don't think I've ever told publicly to anyone. Many people don't even know it. When one of our former hosts, Connie Kunkel, who passed away some years ago, was in the last stages of her illness. She was with her, I think it was her sisters down here in Texas. And Kendi flew down, took her own time off, flew down just to be with Connie, just to be around her, to wash her feet, literally, and to comfort her as best she could. That's the kind of person Kendi is. The world needs a billion more Kendi Klepfers in this world. It tears me apart that this is happening to anyone, but especially someone as sweet and kind as genuine with a family. I mean, my God, I lived with her through the two pregnancies of both of her kids. And so I remember vividly the very expecting Kendi Klepfer of the 1990s. And so, and we always maintained not just this friendship off air, but even on air. We had this banter. She would do the 8 to 11 p.m. shift, and I would do 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. And about 10:50 p.m. every night, we would do what we call a toss. And she'd say, hey, let's check in with Sean and see what he has coming up. But the moment she realized she was tossing to me, there was this smile that hit her, kind of a, okay, we're going to have some banter, we're going to joke, we're going to have some fun. And we always did. Yes, I promoted whatever I had coming up. But then we had this 30 seconds to a minute of conversation, of banter that is almost impossible to have. The only other people I can recall that ever had that was Jeff Hewson and Kathy Levin, and you got to go back 35 years for that reference to make any sense. She and I had that, and it was a genuine liking of each other that allowed us to have this fun little 30 seconds of banter, always impromptu. She is an amazing person. Again, I'm not going to talk past tense. Miracles happen. Please keep Kendi in your prayers. For those that don't know her, she was one of the original CVN hosts. She actually started at a very small shopping network in Chicago, whose name is escaping me, I'm embarrassed to say, then went to CVN, went to QVC, went to Value Vision, stayed there until almost the bitter end, and went to JTV, where she was until just some weeks ago when this terrible diagnosis hit. So, again, breaks my heart that we're having this conversation. It's not over yet. I refuse to believe that it is, so let's all just keep Kendi in our thoughts and our prayers, because she is one hell of an individual with a beautiful family. She actually, a few years ago, when her son was looking for colleges, she was down here in Austin, and we were going to get together because I live just south of Austin, and it happened to be the weekend that the big winter storm hit, where power was going out, and so they had to cut their trip short. So I did get a chance to see her about a year, maybe 2 years ago now. She was down here, and so we got a chance to catch up and have something to eat. And so it was like no time had passed. It was like I was sitting down with a friend that I had just seen last month. It was just, it's that kind of friendship. So anyway, so keep Kendi in your thoughts and your prayers. Hard to segue into the industry after that, but I'm going to attempt to, because, again, as of this recording, April 1st, 2026, QVC has yet to file, and they are now officially late with their filings with the SEC, because they had until March 31st to do the filings of some documents, of some forms. And what they didn't do was that filing, which they had to, but what they did was a separate filing, a Form 12B-25 of the United States Securities and Exchange Commission, and it is a form basically saying why you didn't submit your forms for the period ending December 31st, 2025. So it's okay. What is my excuse? Well, here's what it says. This is the legalese, and I'll translate it. QVC Group, parentheses, the company, is unable to file its annual report on Form 10-K for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2025, within the prescribed time period without reasonable effort or expense. In light of ongoing discussions and negotiations with the company's lenders and associated uncertainty related to such discussions, additional time is required for the company to compile and analyze certain information and documentation and finalize certain disclosures required to be included in the Form 10-K, as well to allow for the review by the independent registered public accounting firm. So I'm saying, hey, we need more time. We're still in negotiations with the lenders. For those that don't know, they're trying to avoid a bankruptcy. Well, about that. Based on currently available information, management anticipates it will disclose in the Form 10-K that there remains substantial doubt about the company's ability to continue as a going concern. If that verbiage sounds familiar, it's because it is identical verbiage to what ShopHQ posted in one of their filings before they did wind up filing for bankruptcy. So it is looking more likely that bankruptcy is going to be unavoidable, and as I said on a show some shows ago, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Companies survive bankruptcy all the time. They have to get rebuilt, for lack of a better term, under a new owner. Who will that new owner be? I don't know. Joe Malone's not in an age where he wants to start this up again. He did it once, and, he's the head of TCI, the big cable concern. So he's probably not interested in this. Will his son maybe want to take it on? I don't know. The more I've thought about this, because the brand still has staying power. The brand QVC has staying power. It just needs to rebuild itself, maybe as one network on TV as opposed to 3 live networks. I mean, whoever takes this on is going to have to scale it back, because financially it can't continue. The smaller networks, the Shop LCs, they're still profitable. I don't know about JTV and Gem Shopping. They're privately owned companies, so they don't have to disclose. I've heard things, some good, some not so good about those. So who knows? But they're smaller operations, so it's a lot more fiscally feasible to stay operating in the television shopping universe. QVC being this behemoth, they would have to, whoever takes it on, have to scale it down dramatically. Maybe go TikTok only, but then, as I said again on a past show, you're losing the instant generating of a lot of revenue because you're talking to thousands of people on television as opposed to hundreds of people on TikTok. That will continue to change, but how soon? How fast? People were calling malls dead. Now, Bloomberg just reported teens are going back to malls because of TikTok. They're finding things at malls, posting it on TikTok. So now maybe, again, this goes back to the influencer we talked about with Marvin, some shows, in fact, several times now, getting influencers into TikTok to get products, getting influencers into QVC products to promote those on TikTok. Maybe that will encourage viewership on the television end of things. This is all to be determined by whomever takes this on. The more I've thought about this, I've debated in my own head, I've gone back and forth. Would it be of a benefit to a company like Macy's to, in bankruptcy court, let's assume QVC winds up in bankruptcy court, for Macy's to take on QVC? They could shut down the warehousing. Macy's has a massive infrastructure. They would be able to warehouse and get things to customers faster, because that's my big thing. Why don't I order more from TV? Because I can go to Amazon and have it the next day. So, and that's a big thing for a lot of people. Macy's could, buying QVC for pennies on the dollar in bankruptcy court, possibly be able with their infrastructure to have things to customers by the next day, or people could go pick it up in a store. That was tried with JCPenney in the early 90s with limited success. They just didn't have the homes. So, I don't know. Maybe there's space for someone that already has brick and mortar to go in. Now they'll have the TV end of things, and QVC is doing good things on TikTok. Macy's could use some help in the TikTok universe as far as their own live streaming. So, it's something possibly that could happen. I don't know. But whatever happens, I think it's probably going to have to get scaled down. In fact, no doubt that it would have to get scaled down. Then the other thing that has popped up, because there's really not much more to say on this, again, it's to be determined, are lawsuits. The first one, because it does connect with the QVC world. And again, timing is everything sometimes with lawsuits. And it's just, man, bad timing, buddy, for Anthony Mark Hankins, who for decades has been a fixture on Home Shopping Network with his clothing line. A very flamboyant African-American gentleman, fun to watch, seemingly very successful. He's built a huge empire. Well, about the time QVC was first announcing we're going to be delayed in our submitting of our forms and possible bankruptcy, he filed a lawsuit against QVC, $30 million lawsuit against QVC Group and HSN following his abrupt termination, which he feels was unfair. I don't know his entire contract and how his contract looked, but he feels like his hours were cut. That impacted his sales. And a lot of the things part of the lawsuit, he is contending that, let me find this part now, that because QVC is shifting towards a TikTok-centered model, that's hurt his sales. It goes back to this is TV shopping. And if you're selling, you're going to get hours. Period. Isomers went to HSN. Was an immediate success. They started adding hours. So I don't know what his individual sales were like. I think it's going to be a tough lawsuit, especially considering the possible bankruptcy over at QVC. And I don't know what his contract was like. He claims his hours were cut unnecessarily or unfairly. Maybe he had something in his contract that he was determined or destined to get a certain number of hours. Well, then again, the courts will have to play that out, and we'll have to just see what happens. Since I don't know the ins and outs of it, I'm just reporting on it. But again, I think the sad part is your timing sucks, because QVC winds up in bankruptcy court. Good luck collecting anything. Most lawsuits are to collect an out-of-court settlement anyways, so maybe he'll be able to do that. Speaking of lawsuits, a lot of people asked me not that long ago when Invicta got sued, because a few weeks ago, as some of you might know, Invicta is now being sued by ShopHQ, alleging that the I'll just read this. Invicta Watch Company has faced multiple lawsuits, including a 2026 suit alleging its CEO steered deals that damaged ShopHQ. In this latest one, IV Media sued Invicta and CEO Ale Lalo, was the Invicta CEO, Ale Lalo, claiming that Ale used his position as ShopHQ director to create and benefit from highly favorable supplier contracts, ultimately leading to ShopHQ's bankruptcy. Again, I wasn't there during this period. I don't know the ins and outs, but a lot of people have asked my opinion of it because many people are sounding very surprised by this. Invicta has been sued many times. There was an EPA settlement in 2024. Invicta had to settle for $100,000, which is pretty small change, actually, with the EPA for importing medic therapeutic ultraviolet light devices. They had a leaky watch case class action suit in 2016-2017. They had a sham warranty fees suit in 2017, misleading marketing ongoing, which is an ongoing complaint, website accessibility in 2023. There was something a decade ago about the Invicta watch dive cases, which I reported here many years ago, is nothing more than a tackle box that is retrofitted with some foam to store watches. The company, I think they were Shop NBC, maybe at the time, came up with a prototype, sent it to AL, and he said, I'm not interested, and then proceeded to go to China and have them made over there. So, again, they faced a number of lawsuits over the years, as many companies done, to play devil's advocate. Am I shocked by this one? Again, personal opinion only, and I really try to keep personal opinion out of this. Not really. So when the whole thing was going on, and I kind of reported on this years ago, I found it a little shady that you had one of the top vendors on the board of directors. The whole thing stunk. And there are some people that were within the organization at the time that I will just say I didn't have the highest regard for. And since they're no longer there and the network doesn't exist anymore, I guess I can speak pretty freely on this. And so because of that fact, no, I'm not surprised. Even when I was there, well, I'm going to push my luck if I say too much more, so I'm just going to leave it at that. But no, and it'll play out in court. It could be totally innocent. It'll all play out in court, or there'll be a settlement, and so who knows what will happen with that. I wish I had more. I really do. But QVC not filing anything. We have no official bankruptcy yet, so there's not a lot to report there. So we're in the airplane, we're in the holding pattern, we're circling the airport, and we're just waiting for our time to land. And when is that going to be? I don't know. I was checking my phone for news all day, March 30th, March 31st, because QVC was still saying they were going to announce their year-end results on March 30th and 31st, and here we are, April 1st. We have this extension, which is saying, as ShopHQ's did very clearly, doubt about our ability to continue as an ongoing concern. And all that means, again, doesn't mean they're pulling the plug. They're not going off the air tomorrow. It means bankruptcy is a distinct possibility, and then that'll play out in bankruptcy court. Hopefully someone will come in, buy, and find a way to make it work, whether it's as a single shopping network, TikTok only, who knows? That's to be determined. But there's still something in that brand. That brand, QVC, will live on, I firmly believe, in one form or another. And hopefully, not too many jobs will be lost, but as the case in almost any bankruptcy, that goes with it. And we've seen that over and over again. But hopefully it will be able to exist as an ongoing concern in one form or another. So keep tuned in. We'll keep you up to date. Please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss a show. Plus, you can listen to the archive of past shows. Check me out on X, Facebook, YouTube at Shawn Wilsie, full name, ShawnWilsie, and on Instagram at SWilsie. Thank you for downloading this edition of our We on the Air.
Yes, I know, Travis. That's why we give such bargains.
Copyright 2026, King Bobby Productions, all rights reserved.